So how do you go from a $200 idea to a nationwide brand that's on Shark Tank?
If you were to ask me 6 years ago if we would be where we are today, I would have laughed myself out of the room. It's not the type of thing that I thought it would get to the level that it is. I'm very proud of, what we've done, but I think it's really a testament that you don't need this, 14-page business plan to be successful. It's really more so about, like I said, perseverance and execution.
Welcome to the Bar Business Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. And if you're tired of figuring out every bar problem alone, well, join Bar Business Nation, our free Facebook group for bar owners who want better ideas and real conversations. The link's in the show notes. So today on the Bar Business Podcast, we're going to have a conversation that's around bars, not specifically about bars. But I get a lot of folks that contact me and they're like, hey, I really want to get in the bar business. And they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s. And my response to them is normally, do you have a rich dad? Because if you can't get the money from someone in your family, I don't know how in your 20s you get into the bar. But there are a lot of bar adjacent businesses that you can do with a little bit of capital and make something that is big and substantial from it. So today that's the direction we're going down, specifically talking about event bartending and a very particular take on it that kind of changes things up a little bit and has often offered a lot of opportunities. So with that, my guest is Nelson Brooks. He is the owner of Cabana Boy Events. You might have seen them on Shark Tank, which we'll get into a little bit today. But the idea behind what he did was a event company that does bartending as a service. And so that's really what we're going to talk about. So Nelson, first of all, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So I kind of gave a really bad overview of what your business plan is. But what I love about your story is, if I'm not mistaken, you started with like $200 and basically no plan. On a whim, you said, hey, I'm going to go do this. And from that, just a whim of I'm going to do event bartending, you've built a company that has a Shark Tank investor, operates in multiple states, right, literally from coast to coast, and have built something huge out of it. So how do you go from a $200 idea to a nationwide brand that's on Shark Tank?
Perseverance, a little bit of wine and tequila, patience. No, I mean, it's, if you were to ask me 6 years ago if we would be where we are today, I would have laughed myself out of the room. I mean, it's not the type of thing that I thought it would get to the level that it is. I'm very proud of, what we've done, but I think it's really a testament that you don't need this, 14-page business plan to be successful. It's really more so about, like I said, perseverance and execution.
Well, I really like that, because especially if you don't have investors and you don't have a bank, I generally think business plans are kind of a waste of time and effort, right?
Right.
You need to know where you're going, but to write down your entire marketing plan before you start is kind of silly.
Yep.
In a lot of ways. So for those folks that aren't exactly familiar with what you do, tell us just a little bit about what is the landscape of Cabana Boy Events. What do you guys actually do?
Sure. Yeah. So Cabana Boys Events, we have 6 brands underneath this. So Cabana Boys is our flagship brand, and what we call Cabana Boys is party hosting. So it is bartending. We do go to private events to serve drinks, but it's a bit more than that. We are there also to help with party games, be Spotify DJs, keep the party area clean, and really just elevate the party in every way we can think of, right? We do a lot of bachelorette parties for Cabana Boys, so it's, usually the younger demographic, women in their 20s and 30s. We send a couple good-looking, fun, professional guys out to their Airbnb, and we just elevate the party. And we were recently rated the #1 bachelorette experience in top U.S. party destinations by the Batch app. So we provide an excellent service, but it is more than bartending. But it's not quite to where your mind is going right now. It's not Magic Mike. We're not, doing choreography or dances or anything like that. It's a little flirty, I'll be honest, but it's definitely, we keep it professional as well. So we have 3 brands that are our boys brands: Cabana Boys, Cocktail Cowboys, and Cocktail Boys. We also have the same service, but the opposite gender, Cabana Girls, just here in Scottsdale. We have a bar crawl in Nashville called Broadway Boyfriends. And then the last brand is the Cocktail Crew. And the Cocktail Crew is kind of the unsexy growth engine of the business. because it's traditional event bartending for any occasion. It's not just bachelorette parties. It certainly could be, but it's more commonly like corporate events, holiday parties, weddings, retirement parties, Super Bowl parties, kind of any celebration where you needed just a good charismatic bartender. So 6 brands, 10 markets, 7 states. We have about 125-ish employees nationwide, and we're hoping to continue to grow.
So just out of curiosity, because I think if most of the folks listening to this, they're going, okay, I know bars and I kind of get event bartending, but to really break down event bartending, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, you're not buying the booze. You're not, which means you have a lower overhead, you have lower liability. You're literally just providing the service side of it and getting paid really well to do that.
More or less. Yeah. I mean, up until recently, we didn't provide anything other than the service. We were just showing up with ourselves and a cocktail shaker in some cases, or a full bar toolkit in other cases. We have recently started offering mixers and portable bars and, some extras like that. But for the most part, it was just service only. And that has really helped us. We run very lean, right? We don't have any physical locations at all. You're looking at our headquarters right now. And we don't, we have some things to like store in, people's hall closet, but that allows us to scale really quickly because we're just a people business. There's no like capital investment at all. So we're likely leaving some money on the table by not providing everything, right? And being that full service provider. But I don't know, it's just a business decision that I made. I feel like it allows us to run leaner and scale faster.
Well, I think that's really true. And what I love about it is not that I want a whole bunch of people to go out there and compete with you, because you guys are hard competition. You know what you're doing. But it's something that, like, when you're that bartender and you're saying, okay, how can I get into running my own business? It's something you can actually achieve.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I've never been a bartender at all. Like, I started this company and my only drink making experience was making dirty Shirley's behind my fraternity bar in college. I'm more of a business guy, and I know how to create a fun experience for our customers. So but yeah, the barrier to entry to this particular industry is very low. That does not mean that everybody's going to be successful. You do have to differentiate yourself and not just be another run-of-the-mill bartender, because there are too many. Because there is a low barrier to entry, there are a lot of companies that do something similar. But that shouldn't discourage anybody. Right? You don't need, like I said already, a business plan. You don't need a rich dad. You don't need everything to fall in line. It can, if you have an idea of how to be different and you're able to execute it, like you will be successful.
And let's talk about that, how you guys differentiate yourselves, because what you're really selling, I mean, because if you think about it, you are selling a bartender, but to your point earlier, you're really selling an experience.
Yeah.
You're selling this package that's kind of like luxury bartending plus some sex appeal, plus hosting and the party side of it. So how does that all come together, and what does it take to give people an experience they'll actually pay for?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that is how we are different. I'm not the first person to invent a male bartender who happens to be good looking. I'm also not, we're not the like greased up baby oil guy with a, bow tie on and cufflinks. Like, that's not us either. We're kind of in a happy middle between those two. But we are all about making people feel special and showing them a fun time. I'll be honest, like, some of our bartenders are not great bartenders. Like, they know some like basic drink recipes and that's it. But they have great energy. They know how to throw a great party. They know how to compliment people, make them feel special, and just really elevate the experience. So that is really what makes us different. On the corporate side of things with the cocktail crew, the bartending is a little bit more important. But we do really emphasize personality and charisma with that service, because you want to match up the event with the bartender. For example, if a 25-year-old birthday party hires a bartender, they want somebody who's going to be engaging and fun and like part of the experience, and not, no disrespect, but they probably don't want some 65-year-old dude who, has been in the industry for 40 years coming to their birthday party. Just, that's the reality, right? And so it is about like matching the vibe and not only just making good drinks, but like making the whole.
And something from what you said that I want to ask about. You said hire people that have a great attitude, but not always great bartending experience.
Yeah.
right? Which I think is really key
Yeah.
in general in bars, right? But something that's interesting about you compared to, say, the average bar owner listening to this is you are operating in 10 states, right? And so I'm sure there's times you're hiring people in, I don't know, South Carolina while you're sitting in Arizona
Right. Yeah.
and can't really go meet them. So how do you personally work through this? I need to find the right attitude, but I'm also doing it from states away. You have this issue in the middle that makes it
Yeah.
harder to read folks.
Yeah, I won't sugarcoat it. That's one of our biggest challenges. Like that is, we are a people business, and people can lie on their resume pretty easily about how much bartending experience they have. We do have a multi-step interview process, probably more rigorous than most bar companies or physical bars. You know, we have a video interview. That's the first step. So somebody talks into a camera about their bartending experience and what events they've worked and things like that, and why they'd be a good fit. Then we have them meet with our director of customer experience and do kind of a phone, introduction. Then we do reference checks. Then we do an in-person interview, and then a final interview with me. So we take the hiring very seriously. We kind of hire slow but fire fast. Bartending, the skills themselves, you can kind of tell when somebody's new versus someone who's experienced, or just by the way that they handle the equipment. But the reality is that can be taught, right?
Yeah.
Like you can teach someone, and if you give them a little bit of time, those are just skills, right? Recipes are just knowledge. Whereas attitude and energy, that's more so someone that they're born with that, or that they develop at an early age. So we really look for, we do require bartending experience for the cocktail crew. We don't require it for the Cabana Boys, because it's more, in our opinion at least, it's more about that energy that they're bringing and the right attitude and how they're going to elevate that event.
Did you say in there that you personally interview every person that works for you?
I do right now, yes.
Okay. But I think that's interesting, right? Because you have 125 employees over multiple states. And sometimes I talk to bar owners that have, 20 employees that all work in the same bar that they own, and they don't interview everyone.
That's crazy to me. Yeah.
Right. What makes you want to interview every single person that works for you?
Because our customers' experience is solely reliant on the people that we send to their event. And if we're hiring the wrong people, like we have this issue sometimes. Like we've had people who hire us, they have an amazing time. And that's because they had two great Cabana Boys. Then they book us in the same city or another city, and they don't have quite as good of a time. And that's not to say that the guys aren't as great as the second two guys aren't as great as the first two guys, but they just had a different chemistry, right? And so if we're not creating consistency across all of our markets, we don't get a ton of repeat customers, but it does happen. We have to make sure that there is that like quality control and consistency across all of our markets. And for me as the owner, like I'm the one who kind of has the best barometer of that, right? I'm fortunate enough to have a great team that can help me out with that. But for the most part, I mean, it's about really feeling out that person and seeing if they have the right attitude and they'd be a good fit for us. But yeah, I mean, if you're a bar owner and you don't interview everybody, like you need to reconsider your process for sure.
Absolutely. And one of the things also, because it's you talk about consistency, and again, basically the same question as the last one, in that bar owners, a lot of folks have issues with consistency in one building. You're doing it across the country where you're not.
Yeah.
How do you maintain that consistency between, Nashville and LA and Charleston?
Yeah.
When those folks are probably never meeting each other. I don't even know if your employees know that the other employees exist half the time, right?
Yeah. No, it is next to actually hiring, it's another one of our bigger challenges for sure. That director of customer experience that I just mentioned, he's been with the company for a long time, but he just got promoted to that role in the last few months here. And his role is to create that consistency, right? And make sure that if somebody books us in LA versus Charleston versus Miami versus Austin, like they're getting relatively the same experience, and that experience is A plus. So how we do that is training. Well, it starts with hiring, right? Finding the right people first. But then training, we've got a pretty large library of training videos where people, they sit down as part of their onboarding, they watch all of them, they get to know, tips and tricks and processes and, things to say, things not to say, things like that. And then on the job training as well. So we have new employees shadow events before they're like out there by themselves. So if you can make it through the training, digital training plus for a couple events as a shadow, you should be able to run an event on your own. If you don't make it through those first two, like that's why we have that probationary period, because people can be great over a Zoom. They can be, have a great personality, but as soon as they're the center of attention in front of 15 beautiful women, they freeze up and they clam up. It's like, okay, sorry, dude, like you're not going to be the best fit here.
Now, just because as you say that, I'm thinking about, okay, so you're a dude in front of 15 beautiful women, right? And these guys are not, I'm assuming well, I know they're younger guys, right? Because that's who you're going to hire for something like that.
Usually, yeah.
There's got to be something in your training about how to flirt without being ridiculous, right? And I think you go to a lot of bars and a lot of bartenders are out there that do that. They flirt too hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Where it becomes just a little weird. And I've seen female bartenders do it. I've seen male bartenders do it. Right. Like, I'm not saying it's one side or the other that has this issue, but sometimes it gets a little weird. What do you do to make sure that when you're sending these folks out to do these events, that they're staying on, the good side and not getting into the weird?
Yeah, not to sound, too redundant here, but it's about finding the right people at the beginning, finding people that are doing this for the right reasons, and they have like a genuine interest in helping people celebrate things. If we're just hiring people who are in it to get phone numbers, like they're not going to last very long. And so it starts at the beginning, but beyond that, like we have created kind of a culture of accountability. And so like people will call each other out, or if they don't call each other out directly, they'll tell, the manager or myself about it. But it's important that we're maintaining a high level of professionalism in addition to, great customer experience. Yes, there's flirtation involved, but it doesn't cross any lines.
And I think that culture of accountability is an interesting thing, because that's hard to build.
It is.
Right? It's hard as shit to pull that off.
Yeah.
So how have you gone about actually getting people to hold each other accountable in that way?
Well, number one is telling them that this is important to us as a company. So we have company values, and one of them is just straight up accountability, and really just making it clear to them that like, if your partner at the party is screwing around, I want to hear that from you first, or the person that was screwing around first. I do not want to hear that from the customer first. I hate being blindsided by customer complaints, because that tells me if you didn't tell me about it, that tells me either A, you're not self-aware enough to know that something was going wrong, or B, you knew about it and didn't want to tell me. And neither of those are okay. And so, we only get the opportunity because we're an event business. We're not a physical bar where people, we don't have regulars that, come back every weekend or every day. Our chance to impress our customer exists in a 2 to 5 hour time frame. And if we screw that up, we're not only screwing up any potential to help that customer celebrate again, we're also screwing up the opportunity to help the other attendees of the event celebrate their occasion again. So if we've got 15 people at an event, maybe that one customer won't book us again, but there's 14 other potential customers that are probably celebrating something else in the next 6 to 12 months. And if we screw that up, like that's not good. Never mind the case where we have to refund somebody because they had a bad experience. I mean, that's lost revenue. That's it's hard to grow when you got a leaky bucket. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge for us.
I still think it's really cool, because that's something I try to get like my clients to do in bars, like make your team hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
But in practice, it's one of the hardest things to pull off.
It is, and I think it's about building relationships with your team, and that is one thing that I am proud of. Is you could easily call us a staffing company, but to me, a staffing company is a couple people in the main office, and then a huge roster of people, and they get sent out to events. And that's it, right? For us, we are trying to build a company culture where we have team events and we have camaraderie, and the employees know each other, they're friends with each other, they hang out outside of the events. Like, it's hard to do, obviously, across state lines, but within each market, really trying to foster that kind of culture of we're friends here too. Like, we run a really fun business. We're all fun and young and we have a good time. Like, we should be friends as well. And so when somebody is screwing around, they are either A, comfortable saying, hey, this guy was, messing around, or saying it directly to their face, and recognizing like the importance of, what that means for the customer experience and future business growth too.
I really hope the folks listening say, okay, that is definitely something that if you own a bar, you can take and implement, right? Because if you can do it across the country, you can do it in a brick and mortar.
Yeah,
Now,
and one thing I'll just quickly add there is, we have had people, I can think of a time, it was earlier this year, we let a guy go, and somebody else, a few days later came to me, he's like, hey, like, that guy was, I never told you, but that guy was awful. Like, he did a bad job at events. I was like, dude, you definitely should have told me that before, right? And he was like, well, I didn't want to be a tattletale. I didn't want to rat someone out. It's like, I get that. But now we've had multiple events that employee was staffed at. He probably didn't provide a great experience. And so that can have really like pretty big ramifications for the growth of the business. So yeah, you might be labeled a tattletale, but like you also, in my opinion, you're more so a team player, right? You're helping the business grow by being honest and open about what's going on.
so let's talk a little bit about business growth because, like I said in the intro, you started this with like $200 in Scottsdale, and now you're in 10 states. So, from just a hospitality perspective, for most folks, the scariest thing is growth,
Yeah.
right? Because that's when you lose control. That's when things get harder to manage. How have you managed growth through this period, and kind of how did that scaling journey go?
Yeah. It is scary. It is challenging. And I think that anybody who is starting any business, not necessarily just a bar business, like getting customers is one of the hardest things to do, right? You can, like your example, yeah, you open up shop, turn on the open sign, and nobody shows up. It's like, okay, well, what did you do to market that? What did you do to advertise? And, I learned my lesson on that. Like, for example, we were growing a lot in Scottsdale early on. And I was like, hey, this is going really well. Let's open up in Austin. And we originally called ourselves the Cabana Cowboys in Austin. We changed it to the Cocktail Cowboys later, but we were not getting any bookings. Like we got a couple, but like very few. And to me, I was like, oh, we've got brand power that's going to travel across state lines. Like we're known in the bachelorette industry, but we weren't doing anything unique for Austin yet, right? We just said, hey, we're open, and that's it. That wasn't the right way to go about it. We had to like build those local partnerships and do more local, work to make sure that we were growing in that new market. Scaling can be really tough too, but fortunately for us specifically, we're a people business. Like I've shared already, like we don't have physical locations. So it was more so about just finding the right people in each market and like building a team from there. So it is scary, but it's also worth it. If you think about a bar, right? If a bar is bringing in 500K a year, just using round numbers, is it easier to double that revenue, or is it easier to open up another location and also do 500K? The unit economics, sometimes it's easier to have just more locations.
100%. And I think the thing that stops a lot of folks, especially in brick and mortar, right, is that now I have double the employees, I've double the everything, and it's a little bit scarier, I feel like, with brick and mortar than it is with a service-based business. But at the same time, all the issues are the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know you've brought up a few instances where you've had employee issues or trouble that are, states away from where you are.
Yeah.
How do you keep, just as an owner, how do you keep your thumb on everything?
Yeah. So, I do sound like a broken record here, but it's finding the right people. We do have a team lead in each city. Team leads are people who either like come in and impress right away, or they've been with the company for a while and they've opened up a new market. I do try to promote within whenever we have an opening for a team lead, just because we run kind of a unique business. So being able to like take what they know the parties to be and translate to a new location is sometimes easier than like hiring somebody fresh off the street, and taking them from square one. But developing a relationship with that team lead is really important, and finding people who have some manager experience, or at least have like the overall kind of business acumen to understand like that their relationship with their employees at a local level really has a massive impact because of the type of business that we run. So it's a team effort for sure, but I think it's also a culture thing, just always kind of having an open door. I don't think this business would work quite as well if I was like an absentee owner and like I just was like checked in once a month like that. probably wouldn't work quite as well because people want to work hard for people that they like and trust. And not to toot my own horn, but that's one of the things that I've done really well here is, most of the team really likes and trusts me to do well, and they can come to me with issues if needed.
I really like that. But I want to pivot here really quick and get into marketing a little bit because you had brought that up. And one of the things that's really interesting to me about your model in general is your largest customer base is like bachelorette parties, right? It's women.
Yeah.
And marketing to women, I feel like it's something that a lot of bars just have issue with. So what in your marketing have you found worked? What doesn't? And how do you catch that young female demographic that seems for a lot of, hospitality organizations to be difficult to get their hands on?
Yeah. So I think marketing, one, we marketing to women, and we kind of hit a sweet spot, right? Because one, like I've shared already, like we're in between that kind of boring traditional bartender and the, slimy adult entertainer. We're kind of in the middle. And so women appreciated that, right? I mean, there's a market for everything, but they really wanted some place where they felt safe, they felt special, they felt catered to, attended to. And that's the type of service we provide specifically for our Cabana Boys service. A lot of bachelorette parties, they come to a new location, they're with a group of friends, they go out to the bars, they get hit on relentlessly by the other guys at the bar. And that's well and good, but like they also are there to hang out with their girls. And so if they can throw a party and have a couple good looking guys wait on them hand and foot, and they know that these guys are not going to be slimy and try to hook up with them, like that's really appealing to our demographic. We also kind of got lucky where like we were in that kind of post-COVID, boom where people were kind of starving for experiences and they wanted to travel, and that's part of the reason why we grew as much as we did. But women more so now than ever, like they have more buying power than they've ever had, and so they don't have to rely on their husband or boyfriend to go on the trip and do what they want to do. They can just get a group of their friends together and make it happen. So we're not perfect at it, but I think that we've done a pretty good job at like selling the experience and less about hey, book 2 boys for 2 hours. It's more about, hey, let's throw this amazing party. You're the maid of honor. You spent months planning this weekend. You've got Pinterest boards and spreadsheets and group texts and the whole 9 yards. Like, you deserve some time off. You deserve to relax and enjoy the weekend too, and that's where we can help. So it's definitely focusing more on like the experience and the feeling that they'll get and what the outcome is too.
I really like that because I think a lot of times, particularly in the bar industry, we see like marketing as here's a picture of a cocktail,
right?
Versus here's the experience, right? Here's what you're going to get. Because I honestly think that whether we're talking event bartending or a physical bar, the actual cocktail is like the least important part of the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. One example I have, this is a physical bar. There's a bar in Charleston who, last time I was in Charleston, we operate there, but last time I was in Charleston, our team lead introduced me to this guy, and he said, I can't remember his name, but he said, hey, I'm opening up a new bar here pretty soon. And this was not that long ago, and they're already like one of the most popular bars in Charleston. And I think one reason why they are is because a lot of their marketing is focused on the people that work there, less or so on the drinks that they serve. So they're doing, funny skits and jokes and introductions and things like that are showcasing like the type of people that are serving your drinks and not just the drinks that they're serving. And that's like, oh, that guy's funny. Like I want to go there and, be around him versus, something else where it's just like, oh, that drink looks pretty good, but I can get that at 12 other places too.
Right. So we're running up on time a little bit, but I have to ask you about Shark Tank, right? Because I think you're the only person ever, I don't think, I know for a fact, you're the only person that's ever been on this podcast, and probably the only one that we'll ever have, that has been on Shark Tank, because Shark Tank does not invest in bars. But they do invest, evidently, in event businesses. So what was that experience just kind of like, and how did that process go?
Well, first I'll say I'm honored and flattered. I appreciate that. Yeah, like you said, Shark Tank doesn't typically invest in a lot of services, and especially those around a regulated industry like alcohol is. But it was a once in a lifetime thing. It's show business, so there's kind of a lot of hoops you got to jump through, and you got to hurry up and wait. The timeline was a little crazy, but I'm super proud of my team and I for what we accomplished there. Getting an investment from Kendra Scott was really special. For those of you who haven't seen the episode, she had booked our experience the year before, and there was no I had read some stuff online. People thought like, oh, like they just invited him in because they had a pre-existing relationship. Not true at all. Like there was none of that happening at all. But she recognized the value of what we provide and the experience that we give. And so it was really awesome to have that vote of confidence from her. And it's, I think they're in their 18th season now. There's probably 1,000, 1,200 entrepreneurs that have been on that show, and to be one of those is really, something I hold very special. Definitely something I'm proud of. So,
well, and it's really cool. If you guys are listening, you should go check out the episode because it's a fun watch, and it's interesting to see how they relate to the service industry. Because I forget who on there, but a couple of them are just like, well, this is a service, I'm out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you could have said anything, and it was just like, no, you're bartending. I'm not doing this.
I mean, that is true. I mean, like we've talked about already. Like it's hard to scale this because it's a service, and like if you order an iPhone, right? Every iPhone's the same,
right.
Roughly the same. If you book a party, it really depends on who you get, the bartender and the experience they provide and how skilled they are at making drinks and if they're on time and things like that. So from an investor's perspective, it is a little scary because you don't know. The quality control can be a little inconsistent. But that's one reason why I feel like I did end up getting a deal, is because I'm one of the first companies that has really built the foundation where there is consistency, right? And they will get a similar experience regardless of what they book and where they book.
Well, awesome. So since our time is kind of up, where can people find you? Because you have cool stuff going on.
Thank you.
You run cool events all over the country. Where can people find you, learn more about the company, book events, all of that sort of good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're planning a bachelorette party or a girls' weekend, birthday, pool party, themed event, things like that, look us up at partyhostboys.com. That'll take you to all of our boys brands in those 10 locations. On social, it's Party Host Boys as well. If you're planning any other type of event, a holiday party, a wedding, a corporate event, where you need a great charismatic bartender, check us out at cocktail-crew.com. And on social, that's Cocktail Crew Bartending. So we'd love to help you celebrate.
Awesome. And as always, we'll link all that down below. Nelson, thank you so much for being here, because I think this was really fun to get into a kind of a side of the bar industry, but so much of what you do, right, is directly the same as if you were running a brick and mortar.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, go out there and do it. I mean, the opportunity's there. Definitely encourage everybody to take that leap.
Well, thanks a lot, man. We will talk again.
Thanks, Chris.
That about wraps it up for today. If you're tired of sorting through bar problems by yourself, come join us inside Bar Business Nation. It's our free Facebook group for bar owners and operators, talking about what's working, what's not, and how to make the business easier to run. Search Bar Business Nation on Facebook, and I'll talk to you next time.